I will start in English because Kichi is really tough. Now, this interview, Jack, we're doing it for the sake of Kichi. We really want people to understand. We know that a lot of us in the group, Culture Awakening, Badunfa, don't understand Kichi. But we want to encourage the use of Kichi because we really commend the efforts of our brother in writing EKATI EYONG-ETOK. So we will do this interview. Sometimes we will speak in Kichi, sometimes in English. We too will try to speak in Kichi sometimes and sometimes in English. So, Tabi Elias, why and I was saying EKATI EYONG-ETOK.
Okay, nkabe mbe aso mpogone somari utofa to ogabi na EKATI EYONG-ETOK. Baru fa bang tombar ngebe bobe he apuse me EYONG-ETOK ye. Aida ndutiti we babi bochi refilfi and then babi go nebo mayo aida bo mayo o botayo papo bo baru fa. So si we kichwi ki nem kichwi ki mai bo bang tomaro no chi pigeon correct. So do sumo ba mai he achambi abena ba bu bo kichwi ki mai ba so po ba ke ba bunge ba fa wanka limbe because da abu chin da limbe ba bunge ba fa limbe ba ke ba chogo ba fa. So ma chogo mo ke ba do ba EKATI EYONG-ETOK. Se kai si le ebure we chi si ku ba chogo chi di reven ba ben kwai simple EKATI eyene bo baru fa ba po kichwi ne baru kwa ari ngebe kufa ki mai kufu because etitibe benyimba beto gato. So kichwi enye si bon become nectar kichwi kukumai.
Okay. Thank you very much. As you've Franklin Tabi said, we will do both Kichwi and English. So if you not mind, just to give us a quick summary of what you said in Kichwi for those who are able to understand English.
Okay, thank you so much for coming. I feel so elated having you guys coming to talk to me about the book EKATI EYONG-ETOK, which literally means country talk school, like it's written on the book. It is quite interesting to understand that every one of us needs to know their mother tongue. We need to know our dialects. We need to speak them. Language is always interesting. Anyway, our inspiration begins from the instigators of the gathering that the Upper Balong people had, most especially in Limbe, but it all generated from the Culture Awakening that was done by Mr. Suna himself. They created a forum, and the Balong people started getting subscribed to that forum, and then there was interest. It was hectic because everybody wanted to belong. So it was. And now, when the gathering in Limbe took place, because EKATI EYONG-ETOK begins, the first stroke of the pen was written on the 31st of December 2024, after the gathering took place in November, if I don't forget. So when I saw that there were fine journalists like him who sought to bring us together to the forum, through the festival and things like that. I listen to people talk. I thought I should write a EKATI Eyong. Though I had been struggling to teach my children back at home how to speak Kitwi and to know the elements of our culture.
So when you talk about cultural awakening Baron 5, you're talking about how people were talking about things,
Yep.
Remembering our beautiful past, speaking Kitwi, whether correctly or wrongly, but at least the enthusiasm that came with it. That's what they're talking about.
That's right. That's right. So I felt really urged to do something, to write. You know, writing always stays. So that's the source of inspiration to cut it short.
Let me take us straight into the book. How can you introduce the book? Give us a succinct summary of the content in terms of sections. What does it begin with? Someone would like to start somewhere or skip, or how would you? I know you're working on a workbook, as you said, but just take us through the content of the book.
Yeah, I think that the book, the main purpose of the book is for learning, and it's for beginners. I didn't want to write some kind of book that is for people who already know the language and would like to improve on their language skills. Instead, it's a book for beginners. That's why when you look through the book, you find that, well, there's an introduction, like every book should have. There's a preface, there's an introduction. And in the introduction, anyone who reads the introduction can see the different facets of a project. Because EKATI EYONG-ETOK is a project. It's going to be a project. Now, after the introduction, the first thing is the history of the Upper Balong. We have a brief history of the Upper Balong, where the people hail from, why we are in our present place of settlement. After the history, we have chieftaincy issues, because these last days we have so many issues concerning chieftaincy, and we thought that we should let the people know how our ancestors used to handle chieftaincy issues. So we talk about it. Then after chieftaincy issues, we prompt into language group, beginning with how to count.
And more with my
And so there are some people who call 45 in terms of tens, but when you get to 20, you have a saw. When you get to 40, you have saw pi, 2 20s.
yeah.
And now 15 is also a mark. So to say 45, you say saw pi, if to say 75, you say saw ra, so you have 3 20s and 15. So that's how the counting is done, and we need to let children know how it was. It came it all came about. Now, after the counting and reading the clock, most especially, because reading the clock in many dialects is a problem. People don't know how to read the clock, So it goes to reading the clock. After reading the clock, we have punctuation marks and things, and then we go into parts of speech, where we let people through phonology know how to build words on sound. And before we got there, we had an alphabet. And when you look into the alphabet, you realize that whatever, you cannot have a language without an alphabet. And when you look into the alphabet, you realize that Kitwi has some specific pronunciations, in-throat pronunciations. When they say ever, for example, the ever, to spell it is not easy. So we have to introduce letters that will permit us spell in Kitwi correctly.
If I hear a word, just straight, I hear B, I hear V. How do you manage the B and the V together?
A word. So there is a B, V, but the V is the silent B. It's almost swallowed by the B. But yet this is the which is in your throat, that you have to know how to write it down so that when somebody reads, he can really correctly say a word.
And continue with the sections of the book.
So now after after we have the alphabet, we go into sound and word building. Then parts of speech, the different parts of speech, because Kitwi has its own particularities. Like the future, we have a near future, we have a far future, we have a future which is. So all of those are written in the book. Then after language those elements of language, well, vocabulary must always count. So we have a vast vocabulary in EKATI EYONG-ETOK. Then we look at cultural issues. There are elements of culture. Culture like palm wine, because palm wine is very, very welcome in our society, something that makes the people glad. Even the Bible says that wine brings joy. So there's palm wine. There are kola nuts. Kola nuts in the forest area. Kola nut is what is used to welcome strangers. And particularly in the Upper Balong clan, kola nuts sometimes also let us know the intention of people who come in. So there's the reading of kola nuts. Other elements are like child naming. How do we give names to children? In other languages, children are identified by their fathers. But the Upper Balong particularity is that children are identified by their mothers.
You're talking about Pukami?
Yes, Pukami. So the issue is when you want to call a child, if there are two children who are called Enos, for example, one of the Enos must be differentiated from the other, or two others or three others by the name of his own mother. Why? Because you can lie about your father, but you don't lie about your mother. Everybody has a single mother who is known. So our language has that particularity. After those elements, we go to storytelling. Our parents used to tell us stories when we were children. So there's storytelling in the book, in Kitui. And those storytellings, some of them were selected because of the wisdom that they have there. For example, why is the tortoise having a broken carapace? Why does the pig keep digging the ground always? They told us those stories to make us smart, think like wise men. Then after storytelling, we have sounds and reading. Because sounds and reading are not only physical aspects of life, they have some mystical elements that have to be taken into consideration. So that's why we talk about sounds and reading. There are so many others that, if you read the book, you will be able to discover.
Jack, we're speaking here to a telecoms engineer. So you should be surprised he's saying so much about language with such mastery.
Phonetics, pronunciation.
Where is this coming from?
As
You were a science student in secondary school, you did telecoms engineering and higher education. So where are you coming from with all of this?
well, I think that apart from the study of language can also be it. Because I've been able to learn other dialects, other languages that I speak correctly, that I write correctly. I think that I think that the language issue is all about, apart from being a gift, also the interest in knowing them. And language has some rules that are same for most of the language, like in Kitui. In German, in French, in English, when you have two verbs and the first verb is conjugated, the second verb, the verb that follows it, should be in the infinitive. That is in Kitui also. So that is studied in French, it's studied in German, it's studied in Spanish, it is studied in Kitui. And one thing that we must commend our ancestors about is the smartness, the fineness of being able to put those things together. And they match every other language.
Without formal education.
Without formal education.
I just have a question. Can I read this book in 1 week and be able to introduce myself in Kitui?
Yes. In 1 week, you can read the book and be able to introduce yourself, because there's an element of conversation, dialogue, how to say good morning, how to say what we are called, elements of how to talk to somebody about your health. For example, somebody asks you, how is your health? Then you talk to him about your health. So reading the book in 1 week and getting to aspects like that can permit you converse with somebody, ask the person about his health, and tell him about your health, for example.
Fantastic.
Now you're talking about conversing, because for some people it's all about reading. Can you, I know that the best way to learn a language is to speak it.
Yep.
So what's your recommendation? That we just read and we can learn the language, or we should dare to speak like me? You saw the way I managed here. I stumbled, I'm sure. I got more wrong sentences than right ones. Is that your recommendation, that we just dare to speak while reading, or we just stay in reading?
No, the purpose, the aim of the book is to let people speak and be able to write. Literacy is not about speaking only, but being able to speak and to write and to read. So I think that the way the book is set should enable you to be able to not only to speak, but also to write. That's going from the alphabet to the phonology, being able to develop the syllables of the words that are being said, going through the language pattern and the vocabulary. You should be able to speak and you should be able to write. Now, Kichu.
Jack, the most revolutionary thing is the Kitri alphabet until now. So where did you get the alphabet from? I would see A, B, C, D down to Z, 12 letters. You have 25 letters, and these 25 letters omit some letters totally and have some letters come twice, thrice in different forms.
Yeah.
How did you develop this? Where is the codification coming from?
Now, codification comes from pronunciation. By the way, to speak a language is an art, and every art needs initiation. To be a user of any art, you must be initiated. And so initiation begins with the alphabet. And to get the alphabet from our knowledge of other languages, we find that it is necessary to link pronunciation to the writing. So there are letters that do not need to be in Kichwi because our pronunciation completely, our vocabulary in Kichwi does not warrant them to be there. There are letters that come in because, like I said, there are some intro pronunciations that you need in Kichwi. So those call for new letters of the alphabet. And if you look at the alphabet, we give names to every letter of the alphabet.
Afa.
Yes, Afa is A. It's letter A.
What does it mean? I mean, I see in English letter A in its phonetic pronunciation is A.
Yep.
Where are we coming from with Afak?
Afak stems in because we want the pronunciation A to be in its alphabet, which is A. But the word Afak itself is a shell. So we are linking the words that exist in Kichwi to the letter which should be in Kichwi. So the A in Afa, which means a share, Afa, is a share. Like the share meat that they give you a yes. So we wanted that the words should be linked to the letters that give the pronunciation. So Afa, A is A, and Afa is a Kichwi word. So we use those same words. Binyen.
That's letter B.
It starts letter B, and it's B. The B there. It's like the Aleph bet that you use for Hebrew. It is like the Alpha Beta that you use for Greek. It is the AB or the AB that you use for French. So you see the letter A, Aleph. It is A, Aleph. So the left is not the problem, but the A that gives the pronunciation to the letter A for Hebrew, A, is there. That's why we have Alpha in Kichwi.
So you write so much history and you have so much insights about urban culture traditions. You are a city boy. You are a director here in Yaoundé. I can tell that many of the generation that is below, I would say even below 30, don't know you in the village. How do you get to know all of this?
I should not say I'm a city boy. I'm a village boy because I grew in the village. I was born in Manyeme. If you look at my birth certificate, I was not born elsewhere and then taken to Manyeme. My parents gave birth to me in Manyeme. I grew in Manyeme. I left Manyeme when I went for studies, which is for school purpose that I left Manyeme. But I have been regular in Manyeme. Now, one of the issues is that my parents, my father, even my uncles, had thought that I should be very versed with tradition, with Kichwi. And so when I got back to the village, other parents spoke pidgin to their children. But my father would time and again return to Kichwi and would insist that I respond in Kichwi. So I had to learn Kichwi and I had to learn the tradition. like reading the kola nut. Because my father trusted me and would send me to his kola nut hole so that I should go there, bring kola nuts when strangers come in. And I break the kola nut and then give him. And when I give him the kola nut, he read. And you know, in our tradition, kola nuts can be read so that they know the intention of the person coming in. They say, it means that there's an issue that must be settled. It means that all is well. And it's a 3-to-1 ratio. And you know that when you are a child and you are ordered to do things like that, they teach you how to do it. If you break a kola nut that has five pieces, when you are giving the kola nut to the elder who reads, you have to hide one of the pieces because it's only 4 that's read. Four of those pieces that are read. There must be a 3-to-1 ratio or a 2-to-2 ratio. So if you give the 5th half or the 5th piece, you are sanctioned for that.
Now we have this book. We've had everything that happened on the culture awakening. It's really abated for some time now. But so now we have a manual and a workbook is coming. But I just want to ask you, what do you think is the future of Kitwi? Like you said, even back then, parents don't speak Kitwi to their children. I know lots of parents who speak Kitwi themselves, but have not handed it down. What's your recommendation to the upper balloon parents, especially mid-level young parents who can still catch up because bad cases are bad cases already? What's your recommendation to young parents who have kids who are infants and into below 10 years old? What do you recommend?
Like I said, knowing a language is gaining a treasure. So what I recommend to the parents, young parents, even old parents, back in the village, you know, the village is almost in shambles now because of the crisis. Many people left the village and are not willing to return. The children who are born outside, they don't have any chance. We must give them a chance to know our language, to know our culture, to know we are a people. We are a people. So the parents need to just get the book. When you get the book and start reading it, what I recommend, because there are some people who would like to do they want to discover. They are reading it quickly because they want just to discover and then maybe criticize. Go gently through the book with the children. Let them know the alphabet, follow the phonology, and then get into parts of speech. Then before too long, the language is consolidated. Our culture is consolidated, upheld. That's what we require.
Just sort of follow up to the series of questions. Now we have the book, the days of technology. I was wondering if there's any plans to have an audio version.
Yep. We had announced over the forum that we are going to have an audio version to facilitate pronunciation. Because the first thing is speaking Kitwi, yes, but speaking it correctly. Pronunciations must be correct. We know there are certain deviants, right, left and right, where people pronounce in their own way, and very soon language takes another shape, So in December, we're suggesting we believe that in December we have consulted some elderly men in the village who pronounce the words so well, who know the form of the language in terms of lexic. We think that we should let them do the videos, the audios and the videos, so that children should learn through hearing and be able to say what's correct.
That's why I'm
from a Kati Yoto and Pogo Sing Kitwi. And so guys Batamatanda, Sicha Batamatanda, Tomo,
6 months.
Yetomo, Batamatanda, Erem Kitwi, and Sin.
That's the sick on there. This is wonderful.